It is all frequency. It is all frequency. Every book that is written for the rest of time that does not have those 4 words in it is obsolete the moment it is written. It is worthless. Any book, any instruction that does not have its centerpiece of information or reason of expression as being that of helping everyone understand that life and every bit of experience within life is frequency, is worthless. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. At best, it's a distraction. And at worst, it can become an impediment. I know this is a strong opening to a video or recording. But I want to lay the groundwork because I've gone through life not wanting to waste my time or my attention. And I'm making the assumption that most other people want to do the same. But of course, there's going to be people that just want to do whatever they want to do. But for those who actually want to progress in life and knows there's a purpose for their existence, more than just satisfying whatever flavor or feeling surfaces in their mind and body that day, that they know there is a grander purpose for their existence, then the understanding that everything is frequency is paramount, because it will simplify everything and it will shatter or reveal all the distractions that are constantly assaulting us every single day. Distractions that seem natural and those that are specifically contrived to capture mankind's attention so as to keep them asleep and powerless. So with the understanding that everything is frequency, the very existence, everything that you think is solid matter is just vibration. The densest rock, if you looked at it under the most powerful microscope, you'll see it is just atoms vibrating at a specific frequency. Every thought you have, every feeling you have is a pulse of frequency. And the very essence of that thought, what made up that thought, is how that frequency is qualified, whether it's a high or low frequency, whether it will go out to the universe and attract more of whatever frequency you just emitted. Now think about that for a moment. Of course, many are going to call into question that this is how life operates, but I'm assuming if you're tuning into this material, you're going to be already of a certain understanding in your life that you know basic principles of how the universe operates beyond the constraints of science. Because the limitations of science is it can only It only accepts what it can prove with instruments that they have created with the limitations of the human mind. And therefore, they say nothing can exist except that which is measurable by the constraints of human ingenuity, which is completely absurd premise to be operating from. That the limitations of human understanding somehow constrain the universe is completely absurd. And for anyone who has taken the time in their life to still their mind enough already knows the absurdity of this statement, because they are filled with knowledge well beyond the functions of normal human society. It is all frequency. For those who are honest enough with themselves to still their minds, to still their thoughts and feelings and physical forms long enough to think upon this, to meditate upon the very fact, the unassailable truth that every bit of existence is a resonance or a frequency. And if you think about that, it should really make itself evident of how certain individuals, when armed with that kind of understanding, have lifted themselves out of all the seeming limitations that mankind finds themselves in. And I'm not talking about just financial, just being a happier person, just having a great family, or a happy existence, productive existence. All of that is inconsequential to one's true purpose, which is to take one's consciousness and return it to the highest frequency attainable. Plain and simple. Doing that literally drags your body, drags everyone associated with your physical form in this embodiment along with you. Because everything in physical existence is just an effect of the cause. And the cause is vibration and frequency. The ephemeral, the unseen, thought and feeling, and the spoken word. All of it is vibration. So today mankind is vibrating at 100, let's say they're vibrating at, X frequency, let's just call it 100, and they want to attain to 1,000. The only way to do that is to think higher thoughts, to feel higher feelings, to speak higher words. There is no other way. That is the way to attainment. Think higher thoughts. Feel higher feelings. Speak higher words. And there is one other thing. Consume higher foods. And the only reason why that's important, seeing that the physical body is secondary to everything else, the physical form is an effect of the cause. But putting in, or let's say this, as one lifts their consciousness by using higher words, higher thoughts, and higher frequency and higher feelings, they will naturally remove foods and consumption of chemicals from their lives, certain chemicals from their lives, because they learn or they naturally feel the lower frequency or the higher frequency from certain food consumption. I'm going to stay away from the whole chemical enslavement aspect of humanity's consumption of things. We're going to assume that anyone listening to this is already going to avoid the obvious chemical enslavements of tobacco and alcohol and maybe regular pharmaceuticals that they could be taking as medications, because all of this is an obstruction to understanding anything, to any achievement in life. Those things are an obstacle, or can be for the most part. I'm going to leave that as less than absolute because my own teacher partook in tobacco. He was a chain smoker, but his pursuit of the truth was sufficient to overcome the obstacles that were presented by such a habit. So for certain types of individuals who can power through with the force of their will and overcome those things, it can be done. But that is not for the vast majority of mankind. They are much weaker creatures. So some of these substances that people have to remove from their diet are animal products, especially meat. Because let's make this abundantly clear. It doesn't have so much to do with the material, the actual physical matter of the substance you put in your body. It has to do with frequency. Okay? And how that frequency has been qualified. And for those who want to put meat into their body, you will never be able to raise your physical, your consciousness, not your physical. You will never be able to raise your consciousness past a certain point because of the limitation of the frequency you're putting into the body. It will hold you back. And the reason is this: every animal that is killed has a feeling body. It has an emotional body. And the moment it is killed, or even beforehand, when they're at the slaughterhouse, they know what is coming. They are not stupid. Life is not stupid. It is all consciousness. Do you understand this? Animals have an emotional body, like a human has an emotional body. They know when they're about to die. And their entire flesh and everything about them is charged with a vibration of fear. And it saturates all that substance. Do you understand this? It cannot be escaped by any amount of processing, by any amount of human opinion. If you consume animal meat, you are consuming the frequency of fear. And even if it wasn't the frequency of fear, it is still a lower frequency to begin with. Animal frequency is well below that of human frequency. It's just the way it is. There is just a gradation of frequency throughout all of life. It's an inescapable thing. No matter what humanity thinks, no matter what science can prove or disprove, frequency is frequency. 700 hertz will never be 701 hertz. Do you understand that? It is paramount to comprehend this. 1 hertz can never be 2 hertz. So this is a very minor thing to understand about the frequency of fear that people consume almost on an everyday habit, routine. This industry of feeding humanity fear. But that is quite minor to the other intoxicants that keep people suppressed. Because this is the thing, all understanding of life, all absolute knowledge of life. I'm not talking about the limited comprehension that mankind has of things, but universal knowledge that transcends the entire human experience is all frequency locked, meaning the only way to understand and comprehend these things beyond our very narrow band of existence that we have here on this planet is by elevating one's frequency. The reason why understanding life as frequency is so powerful and potent is because it transcends all of humanity's bullshit. All the different ways humanity colors and clothes and distorts and distracts, all of it is just a clothing upon frequency. Frequency is the essence. And if you're anything like me, I don't want to be dealing with a bunch of bullshit coloring. I want to go to the essence of understanding. Because you sideline all religion through the process of understanding frequency. You completely bypass all religious or spiritual or dogmatic ism, schism, bullshit of any kind when you see life is purely frequency. You disrupt every gatekeeper to knowledge with the understanding life is frequency. Of the trillions of words that have been written in whatever spiritual or religious or transcendent material that has come to humanity's use or have been written by any part of humanity, almost all of it can just be put aside with the understanding that life is frequency. Because simply meditating upon that, one will see how the simplicity of that understanding can transform their lives. It can remove, it can show you exactly what to put in your body. It can show you what you should or should not be watching on TV or listening in conversation with others or being part of in social media. It can govern every bit of your consciousness when you understand that what you allow into your consciousness of varying frequencies is going to impact your entire experience in this lifetime. Just through one's reason and logic, one can use the understanding of life as frequency to navigate every trap and every pitfall that presents itself. It destroys all the chatter of mankind about this, that, or the other subject. Because if they're not talking about things as being frequency, it is absolutely worthless. Anything, any book, any podcast, anything you hear in life that is not understanding or communicating the importance of seeing life as a frequency and understanding that all words and thoughts and feelings being communicated about life are a frequency is worthless to you. Or it's worthless to an individual that is seriously trying to make progress in life, to raise their consciousness to the full potential, whatever it is they think that is in their life. Whether it's trying to attain the consciousness that Jesus was teaching, or Krishna, or Muhammad, or Sai Baba, or, an ascended masters that put their material on the planet, whatever it be, whatever consciousness a person is trying to attain is all the same. It is frequency based. And that's why they preach about love. That's why they preach about joy, about having a more positive mindset, because positive mindsets is a higher level of frequency. It's a stepping stone on the path to ever greater frequency. Your physical form follows your consciousness. The physical form is an effect of your consciousness. It is possible to transcend every limitation that you started off with through the basics of genetics or location-based limitations for the physical form. Maybe starting off with malnutrition or an awful family experience or psychological distresses. It is possible to transform all of it as if it never existed through the understanding of frequency. Because all memory, physical memory, and memories that we've created are all resonance that we are holding on to. And in order to progress, you have to let go of lower frequencies, of lower consciousness memories. That means every hurt, every pain, every amount of emotional suffering that you experienced in earlier parts of your life must be forgotten. Completely forgotten, as if it never happened, in order for consciousness to move forward to a higher frequency. Because you cannot hold on to low frequency memories and progress in higher consciousness. It does not work. I'm sure you can see that. If you're holding on to a 500 hertz and trying to achieve 600 hertz, it won't work. You have to let things go, because even having a memory of those things, of some hurt, of some infraction upon you by some other live stream, if even remembering those experiences will hold you back. And that is the definition of forgiveness that ascended masters speak of, that the Course in Miracles speaks of, that Jesus taught that any high spiritual being teaches the definition of forgiveness is forgetting. But what they never spoke about was because of the frequency. And that is why it's so important to understand life as a frequency. Because mathematics cannot make errors. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. And if you want to move to 600 hertz, you must let go of the 500 hertz material. You cannot have both things in your consciousness and progress. You cannot put low frequency food or chemicals into your body and hope to progress. It will hold you down like an anchor. You cannot involve yourself with social media and all those distractions that mankind find themselves in, all these political discussions, all this nonsense of pointing fingers, of feeling hatred, of being part of some group if you want to move forward in your consciousness. It will hold you back. All these things are of a low frequency. All arguments, all tribal consciousness of people associating themselves with this or that group, it will hold you back. You must remain free and independent of everything if you want to progress to the maximum amount. Everyone's free to make their own decisions, as we always have been. We've been repeating lifetime after lifetime of erroneous behavior. At some point, we have to graduate from this classroom. And it is done so by understanding life as frequency. It clarifies everything. It will keep you on the narrow path, the narrow road home, because it shatters every form of distraction. So I am grateful for this beautiful Friday. I have partaken in 8 grams of my homegrown psilocybin today. Having days like this really helps me be clear and to communicate clearer. You know, the blessings of psilocybin that I recognize are that it organizes one's thoughts and feelings so much clearer. It just kind of lays waste to all things, all distractions that are of lower frequency origin. And the things that rise to the surface, the higher frequency things that rise to the surface while under psilocybin, are so much easier to see clearly. It's like one's mind being like a room of furniture. Say one's mind is like a living room. I would say the average humanities person is like a living room with a pile of furniture haphazardly thrown in a pyre right in the middle of the room. Completely disorganized, completely non-functional. But something happens when you take psilocybin where it can reorganize the room, the furniture. It puts things back into place. It makes things clear. It puts the furniture in order. It puts the pictures on the wall in order. Everything makes sense and becomes functional and orderly. And add light to the knowledge, the beauty of this functional aspect of psilocybin, when it's used for this purpose, this intention of understanding life on another level. Because psilocybin will literally help you get your shit together. It is not an end-all be-all solution, because discipline of one's behavior is paramount. Discipline of one's mind and thoughts is paramount. Discipline of one's speech and feelings that they communicate and use every single day is paramount. And nothing can replace that discipline. No crutch, whether it be cannabis or psilocybin, will ever replace the discipline that's required in order to graduate from this classroom. But these are the gifts of nature that, when properly used, can be of tremendous help. Just never let yourself become a chemical slave. If you're having to use anything multiple times a day, or even every single day, there is a problem deeper that needs to be resolved. Solve that instead of band-aiding over it. Because by just medicating over everything, you will never know if you make progress in changing the frequency that's causing those things' existence in your life. Sobriety is important for understanding the base camp of where you are, the threshold, the foundation that you're working from. Threshold wasn't the right word, but the foundation that you're working from must be understood so that when you make progress, you know you've made progress. But anything that just medicates people over and band-aids over will never help them. And that's the disastrous mindset and philosophy of the pharmaceutical nonsense. So please do not become chemical slaves. But certain tools are there for our use. And when used in conjunction with discipline, your freedom and evolution of consciousness is guaranteed.